I think we are live. Hello, everybody. Dave, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Glad to be here, man.
Yeah, this will be a fun one. As we kind of sit here and go live, I think we'll give it a few minutes just for people to walk in and kind of get situated before we really kick into the content. But Dave, I'm jealous. You got to at least tell people a little bit. You've been climbing through the mountains of Utah, heroically, it seems.
Well, we had a huge camp, like a 300 youth and adult camp up in Flaming Gorge, Utah. So cliffs everywhere, river rafting. Took about 100 of the older boys and adults up a 400-foot cliff face with gear. It was pretty incredible. Yeah. So it's nice to be back in a chair and air conditioning, though. I'll say that.
But you couldn't do that with AI. You couldn't have gone through the cliffs of Utah with AI. So I think it's a great bridge. You got to go live real life out there.
Well, and you bring up a really good point, and I know we will talk about this, but humans crave the real stuff. Even young people who live online, right? They really craved disconnecting, unplugging. There was no reception where we camped, which was not on purpose.
Oh, wow.
It worked out amazing. I was stressed out the first day because I was like, I got to keep up on stuff. I was turning on Starlink at night, and then I was like, forget it. And everything got really connected. It was cool.
Yeah. I love that. I'm a big research nerd. I was reading a research paper it was this team of scientists that went and spent 3 hours in the forest, and it apparently improved their immune system for the next 30 days. So getting outside is great.
No, there's great data. Like as we were preparing for Service Franchise Summit, I did a bunch of the same research, and I mean, your cortisol levels go down as soon as you get outside, if you're around animals or you're out in nature at all. That's why, like, Central Park is such a brilliant thing in New York, and people. But there's a lot of research on that. They call it green health or greens. I can't remember green health or something, but it's real, and I feel it. Scalar waves when you get out in nature, especially like waterfalls. There are all these scalar waves out there, and it changes the way your brain works. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love it. For anybody who's joining us, we're just going to give it another minute. I promise you, we're not just going to be talking about hiking this whole time. Although it might be a more fun, but I don't know, it might be more fun. We'll get there. We'll give it another 60 seconds or so as we're getting ready to dive in here. But that'll be great.
Yeah, well, Paul, thanks for having me on. How about you? Tell us, as we're waiting for people to join, what's new with you, man?
Yeah, I have not been outside. I golfed last week, and that was great. Outside of that, I've been working a lot, just building some data science. It was fun. I was telling you beforehand, we're really diving into, how can we leverage data alongside agentic AI to have it make better decisions. And I think that's been it'll be an interesting thing as we continue to build it. But I've just been really focused on that. I need a trip to Utah is what I'm hearing. I'm jealous after listening to you talk about it.
Well, plan some time, and I'll take a day off. We'll go on a hike or something, man. I'd love that.
I've learned about a Via Ferrata, so I feel like I'm ready.
Yeah, there's one that's actually like 45 minutes from the Salt Lake Airport. So
really?
I've got all the gear in my garage. We can go.
We're good to go. All right. With that, I appreciate the invite. I will take you up on it. We're a few minutes in, so I can assume who's here will be here. So everybody, thank you for joining us today. I'm here, Paul Ehlinger. I'm the founder and CEO ever at Flamel. And we've got Dave Hansen from ClientTether joining us. Dave, thanks for being on with us today.
Yeah, of course. Happy to be here, man.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. And I'm assuming most people know you. You're active. You're out on LinkedIn a lot. But maybe what's the 10 seconds, on who you are and a little bit about ClientTether?
Sure. So CEO of ClientTether, we're a leading technology provider and franchise, and we're known for our frandev and our home service CRM that we built out years ago. Our founder is the founder of multiple franchise systems who built the system over a decade ago. But sales automation, lead conversion, data visibility, those are some of the key things that we're really well known for. And we're becoming an integration hub for many of the key AI partners in the industry. So happy to be here, man. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, no, I love it and appreciate you being on. And we're going to talk about who's tired of AI hype today, which may sound ironic given coming from two people who think about it, build it, and work on it all the time. But I think this is something, Dave, you and I were talking about, where we were kind of getting through the hype curve a little bit, right? Where there was a lot of energy, excitement, mayhem, maybe you would say. Every conference table was about AI. And maybe we're feeling some things. I'm curious, your perspective on just the general vibe or, emotive feel of AI kind of around the industry that you guys have been noticing through 26 here.
Yeah, well, I'll take a step back with you because I agree that there's been so much hype, and some of the guys who've been leading the hype are people. I'm like, well, why are you talking about this? That's not your thing. But the industry itself, there are a lot of struggles right now. Like if you look at conversion rates and lead flow and actual performance, and franchise candidates crossing the finish line, being awarded franchises. A lot of the top performers for the last few years are really struggling right now, despite their pursuit and use of AI tools. Yeah. And so I think that's kind of what fuels this conversation is like, how do we separate hype from real? Like where having it, how does it move the needle? Because if you're doing something today and it's not moving the needle, you got to stop because it's not working right. So I think that's what fueled it was where do we actually apply it in a meaningful way in franchising? And I think you and I have a really cool but very different perspectives on how that works.
No, 100%. And I think my take on it as well is you see so many advancements in kind of what I would call generalized AI, right? Like Claude and ChatGPT improving and kind of the modalities that they can operate in. But it's really hard to feel how that like impacts me on the bottom line, right? If I'm a franchisee sitting in Dubuque, Iowa, how am I translating what Claude's putting out on an LLM to like what I'm doing in my day to day? And so I think there's been this like disconnect between generalized AI and actual like workflows built for franchising,
True. And it's funny because my media, not my media, but my news feed is filled with updates on AI and robotics and humanoid robotics and so I get these awesome videos of like CEOs, their companies have spent hundreds of millions of dollars in R&D and development, and they get on stage to present to their investments and the board members and the general public, and their robot walks out on stage and then falls over on its
collapses. I think I know the exact article you're referring to. Yes.
But there was the Russian one, then there was another one that just happened. I was like, but like I feel like it's such a metaphor for what's going on right now, right?
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of advancements. Things are changing fast. Like it is really hard to keep up with it. And there's so much PR right now about AI that is like, how much of it is real and how much of it is like pipe dreams and future promises? And see, I think it's nice maybe you and I can break down just what we see, what's really happening, what's really working.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think I appreciate the bridge there, in terms of like what we really want to dive into today, right? And the way I would frame this is it's really the fundamentals. The fundamentals still matter. And then I think what we can kind of talk to are where have we seen AI either help or maybe not help those fundamentals, in terms of, hey, getting speed to lead, actually converting that potential customer into a real customer and building that loyalty. And then just maybe talking to like, hey, as practitioners, as builders of the craft, what do we see as like is really worth the hype these days? In terms of how we'll be diving into this conversation today. And so, Dave, maybe if you want to kick us off, since you guys are the bona fide experts at this, dive into speed to lead these days.
And maybe before I go into this, just one step back for a second there's a really interesting phenomenon in franchising. It's actually kind of blown my mind for the last almost 8 years, which is, the people that are on the stage are the people who have the perspective of one brand. But you and I, like, we're in a unique position where we both work with hundreds of brands. Like the number of iterations that we have, I don't mean this to be like a flex or anything, but like just certain suppliers have visibility into massive amounts of data, massive amounts of successes and failures and attempts. And so I just want to share, like, both Paul and I, like, we see a lot of what's actually happening out there. We're not just like a single brand or even a platform company that has 15 brands. We're looking at hundreds of brands worth of data all the time. And that makes it a little bit unique, our perspective. And I think that's why we want to talk about this is, yes, a little bit of promotion, like, hey, here we are, hi, look at us. But actually, like, this is what we really are seeing is happening industry wide, and nobody else really has that perspective. So anyway,
happy to 100% agree.
Yeah. So guys, there's you will always hear me preaching about this. If you've ever seen me present, we talk about speed to lead because there's a huge gap, right? In general, across every industry, this is like non-industry specific data, but there's a curve, and it's a very steep slope curve, negative. If you wait more than 5 minutes to reach out to a lead, like you wait, let's say 30 minutes, you're 21, you're just, it's abysmal. It's like, you're like 10, like maybe 5%. That's likely to convert that lead. I think that's the math in reverse here, but it's just crazy. And most brands, when I talk to them about what is their response time, The franchisor always says, "Oh yeah, we talked to every lead within 5 minutes."
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that in a second. What's actually happening in the industry? But the average for B2B leads, these are the crazy part about this to me, Paul, is the costs. Like the marketing people just freak out when they see this data because they're like, we are spending $233. They know their cost per lead. They know they know ROAS, and they see that my salespeople are following up within 42 hours. Because they know, right? So that's the average, right? Almost 2 full business days that people are waiting to follow up. Now, if I'll click to the next slide because you would think in franchising it would be better. Now, I guess you can say it is better than the generic data, but we actually do a research project, and we're adding weekly. We add a couple of brands to it every week, where we actually pick 5 locations, fill out lead forms, and then we measure to see like how fast are actual franchise owners following up on leads. And some of the people we put in there, they have they boast all these AI solutions. One of them, I was hanging out at a conference, and they're like, "Yeah, we got all this stuff. Yeah, we're great. We got." And so I was like, "I'm just gonna check." So I put
just shoot a few leads out. Yeah.
And it was abysmal. Like their lead response time, like we didn't even get a response. So check this out: franchise industry wide, home service brands primarily. The average, the 26% of leads never ever get a response. 26%. You would think that would be like 2%.
I'm sitting here from like the marketing perspective, and it's like that's just soul dropping a little bit, right? Because it's like I'm miscalculating on this by so much. Like we're just missing out on all these shots on goal.
Yeah, and these are all franchise brands that are reputable, right? It's not like we're going out to all the micro emergings that don't have their stuff figured out yet. These are brands that have some of them 100+ locations, 500+ locations. So, but what's crazier to me. So those are just a respond in general. So if they shoot an email out, that counts as a response.
Sure.
But an email response is like the least effective way to touch a lead, and that's the majority of them. So look at the other chart on the right, and it's a little bit small, but like this is the what is the response rate by channel?
Yeah.
And I guess majority of it is email. And then only 18.5% of all the leads that we've checked, and it's hundreds of all the locations, 18.5% ever got a text. Ever.
Interesting. I'm so intrigued by this. So this was like one of the questions I wanted to ask you, and I had seen this in the deck when we were getting ready. Like, why do you think that is such a divide between email and text? Because in my mind, those are very similar modalities, right? Like in terms of how that communication is happening. There's a lot of tools within both of those spaces that really discreetly solve that problem. Like, why do you think that divide exists?
Well, so there are 2 reasons in my mind, and these are just dialogue points we have all the time. One is franchise brands are particularly intimidated by or scared by the potential negative lashback from using SMS. TCPA, A2P, it's a moving target, blah, blah, blah. But the problem, it's just like saying, hey, I'm afraid to play lacrosse because I don't know the rules of the game. Sure. Like, learn the freaking rules and then play by the rules, and it's a fun game, right? Or maybe pickleball is a more hyped sport now, but like I think people are intimidated by that, but also they don't have the tech. They're not investing in the technology. They're using archaic CRM platforms that they would have to go get an expensive third-party bolt-on, or they can't even bolt on, or like it's crazy to me. Like that should be 101 stuff, and it's obviously a heavy lift for franchising. But the call. But here's the thing: texts are now an important part of the process that sets up the success of the call.
Totally.
So like if you're not texting first and you're trying to call, those calls are you're if you text first and then you call, you have a 40% increase across the board in answer rate. So,
and I think that's gonna keep getting that way. Like we're of different generations. I've got some people on my team that are the generation younger than me. I would argue that's going to continue getting worse. Now, I never answer a phone call unless it's from like 6 people. Like it is. I'm not answering unknown numbers on my phone.
Valid. But if somebody texts you first, like let's say you feel
like we're going to give you a call.
Yeah, you wanted to buy a car, so you say, "Hey, I'm trying to figure out how much this car is. I want to test drive it." You fill out a form. You get a text a couple minutes later and says, "Hey, thanks, Paul. I'd love to get you more details. I'll give you a call in just a minute." Well, now you also hijack the phone OS, right? So now the phone OS says, instead of spam likely or unknown caller, it'll say likely Dave Hansen, because that should be in the text.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this stuff blows my mind. You know, the overall speed with which any response of any kind is received in franchising is like 23 hours.
Jeez.
Yeah, 23 hours, guys. Like that blows my mind. And we keep adding data to the study, and it's just normalizing more and more around that number. It's like not getting any better as we add more people to the study. So I would expect it to skew down, but it's not.
And I'm curious, I think a lot about how LLMs kind of affect consumer behavior in the sense of, I'll use a very specific example that I'm having currently. We had a leak in a soffit on the front side of our house. First of all, I didn't even know what a soffit was, right? But I took a picture of it, I sent it to Claude, and I'm like, what's going on here? And it's like, your soffit's leaking. And I'm like, can I fix this? And it's like, probably not, Paul. You're not good at that stuff, And so by the time then I'm looking for a solution, I'm looking for a very specific solution, right? Like I don't need a roofer. I want somebody who fixes a soffit in Cincinnati, Ohio, in my zip code, And so the context I then have when I'm going to go find a solution, I'm so much deeper in the consideration phase. I'm like, I want to have action. Do you see that impacting this as well? Where it's like, hey, that 23 hours, I would imagine, is becoming worse and worse and worse, right? Where I'm really ready to consider a buying decision right now, and I don't want a gap of time that large.
Oh, 100%. Well, Google talked about this like 13 years ago with their 0 moment of truth, right? I mean, the amount of information available to consumers, even pre-AI, right? Pre-LLM, although pre-publicly available LLMs, because they've been available for like 15 years, just not publicly. Sure. But Google talked about this. Said, look, you've got to get better and better and better at getting the right information out so people can filter their own information, because that's what they want. And the younger they get, the more they lean that way. The older time, old timers, boomers, and even Gen Xers, like they'll pick up a phone. They're like, I just want to get an answer and talk to a human real quick. But the younger guys now, like your 25 to 35-year-olds, these guys are Gen Zs now. They'll be Gen Alpha soon, and they're even more removed. But the speed, but the patience of the consumer. So you couple all the information they have at their fingertips, the LLMs now that can help them make decisions, and then the fact that they're so used to instantaneous follow up that if you take more than a couple of minutes, they've already filled out 3 of the lead forms. They moved on, right?
Yeah, and I'm curious, bridging from this, because I think that is a shocking problem. Like those numbers are truly shocking, really. Like you guys you should be posting on LinkedIn every day. That blows my mind. In terms of how AI can actually move this needle, right? Because I think there's existing technology solutions for a lot of that. And now there's a lot of AI powered solutions for those same things. Where are you seeing where it being an AI powered solution is actually better than either base technology or not at all, which in theory, both of these solutions should be better than not doing it at all.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's let's talk top of funnel engagement, right? A conversion moment happens, somebody engages. That the likelihood of a human being available to talk to them, even with a tool like a ClientTether or whatever, that's going to automate the follow up, you still need to have someone who can respond and engage. So having humans talking to humans is always best. Actually, I'll say almost always best. We'll get to that in a minute. But like a low hourly wage, someone who doesn't give a crap at the front desk picking up the phone, sometimes isn't as good as an AI, because the AI has no fear. So, but if you can get a human to talk to a human first, it's generally speaking a better experience. But when they cannot, having a rollover option where the AI is going to take over, because that is way better than a voicemail. One out of 3, 1 out of 4 people will ever leave you a voicemail as a business owner. So you don't answer the phone. You probably just burned 75% of those inbound leads, and call-ins should be like an 80, 90% conversion rate. But having an AI pick it up, there's incredible tech now. There's a ton of it that's really good at engaging with the lead, qualifying them, and then scheduling them. The AIs now, they'll ping, they'll integrate with the client and look at a calendar and book the time, put it in there. The AI can trigger the follow-up sequence in a system like ours. The AI can also ask them questions that humans are afraid to ask. Hey, how'd you hear about this? Hey, do you know anybody else that could use their soffit fixed right now? Did that, and so, but the AI is now so intuitive. They can, if you said, there's a windstorm that tore through and ripped up my soffit, now it's leaking. The AI could actually cue from that. Say, anybody else in your neighborhood that was affected by the windstorm that we ought to probably talk to? Humans are afraid to do that.
Yeah.
AI has no fear. So in that way, that's where that asterisk came in earlier. That's where AI can actually be better than a human at the end of a conversation.
Yeah, I'm curious. I've seen a lot of mixed messages on this. I'm curious your thoughts on, should the AI identify itself as AI up front, versus not? Like, is it more powerful to be like, hey, this is we call one of our AI agents Luna. It's like, hey, this is Luna. I'm an AI agent designed to assist you. How can I help? Like, do you think that should happen first to set the standard, or do you think it should be, hey, it's almost as close to unrecognizably as AI? Should we just leave it like that? Curious what you think.
I'll be frank. The voice, AI voice, you need to identify, because everyone can tell. It's uncanny valley. There's like a slight delay in weird places, or it's really human-like. But I strongly recommend say, hey, I'm Steve. I'm an AI virtual assistant. Sorry that our team couldn't answer the phone, but I'm here to help. Let me help you. What looks like you're looking at this. When let's get you scheduled for a meeting, like whatever, right? So it can be seamless and smooth, but I always recommend identifying it as an AI, and also having your AI has to, if it's a voice, it has to have the ability to do a live transfer.
So that's exactly what I was going to ask you next, is like, is there appropriate contexts for this, right? Where you already know if you pass somebody to an AI, they're going to immediately hang up, versus giving them the option to get out of that conversation.
Yeah, well, but people are more tolerant to it now. Like 2 years ago, people would be like, whatever, click. But more and more people are accepting this now, and it's the frog boiling in the water. I think sooner than later, like we'll find ourselves just surrounded by AI all the time, and we'll just be like, yeah, it's fine. Like how many people? So I was hanging out with some friends, and they were laughing because their mom, she's like 70 or she's 80, and two brothers were like, yeah, we're hanging out with our mom in Missouri, and she kept watching these AI videos. And we're like, Mom, you do realize that's an AI video? She's like, yeah, but it's so good. So yeah, I think we're just going to be surrounded by it. It'll become more normal, but human in the loop.
And I think for anybody who doesn't, I think we keep up on this stuff a little aggressively, I would guess. But 11 Labs, they're out of New York. They're one of my favorite companies of the last decade. They are getting so good at putting like actual human emotion into AI voice generation. It's like, it's insane. It's so impressive.
Yeah, I think the line between being able to determine what it's an AI and what's a human is going to get really small, and then it's going to get really blurry. Yeah. So maybe at some point, the thing to me is it's about the client experience and being like having integrity. So I think the more integrity you've got up front, but don't be afraid of letting people know. I don't think people are as averse to knowing they're chatting with an AI as they used to be.
I agree. I think it's just setting the expectation, right? I always view it as like, oh, it buys the store a few minutes to, so a rep can get behind the phone call when I do need to talk to somebody. Like that's the little mental note in my mind, is like, oh, great, they're arbitraging the time it takes for them to have somebody ready to actually take the call.
Yeah, well, but also you just mentioned this before. Consumers are getting further down into the consideration phase. So by the time they hit your site and they get that call, or they call in and they can't reach a team member, they're already like, yeah, I want someone to come to my house, right? So, so I don't. Whereas before, people call them back. So what do you guys do?
Right. Yeah.
Now
they're more educated. Like, hear me out. I literally did not know what a soffit was. Like, I'm a first-time homeowner. You know what I mean? Like, I feel, but calling them and saying, "Hey, I need a soffit fix," like they can price it more quickly. They know how much time it actually takes them to solve that problem more quickly. So it's like everyone moves down the funnel faster. And I'm curious. Obviously, I think something of value here is like, where shouldn't you use AI, and where would you recommend not using it? I think the advantages are really clear, like speed and no fear are really obvious and really important, but I think talking to where you shouldn't, or where you should be cognizant of the fact that a consumer may not have an optimal experience on that.
Yeah, I mean, conversations that are highly nuanced. Let's talk about a sales funnel, right? So at the very top of the sales funnel, you're just trying to ask, get a couple of qualifying questions done and get them to talk to a human, get them into a discovery call, get them into an on-site visit if you're a home service brand. In frandev, it's making sure that they're capable, or they're basically qualified to have that initial conversation. Then you're checking for fear and readiness and all these things, right? So it's really getting them through the top of funnel screening as fast as possible to talk to a human. When you get into highly nuanced conversations, like deal qualification and the emotional buying side of things, like AI is not good at that right now. Even highly expensive, highly trained stuff, they're still okay at it. Humans are way better.
Do you see that as a function of like ticket size at all? So like if I'm calling to get a whole roof replaced, it's a $35,000 thing. That's a very different phone call than like, hey, I've got a small leak in a gutter that's $800 to fix or something. Do you think there's nuance that it kind of forces that function a little bit just by kind of what you do and what you kind of service the customer with?
Yeah. So, boy, and it's not just about ticket size. It's also like I'm going to use the term intimacy of the service. So like,
Oh, sure.
so like, let's say high ticket or low ticket, high volume, like home cleaning, for example. Well, I'm inviting you into my closet and my master bedroom.
Yeah.
Like, so like you know what I mean? Like I think that there's different sensitivities of consumers around certain things, and consumers, depending upon what you're doing with them, are like in a highly like intimate type service, like a home cleaning or something like that, or like elderly care. Like, hey, you're taking care of my mom. You're taking care of my mom, or my pet. And some of those areas, like very top of funnel, like, hey, let's get you scheduled to talk to one of our experts. Like, I think that's tolerable. People understand that. But if you try to like move them all the way through the funnel with AI, I think people would be like, you're impersonable and impersonable. I don't want to talk to you. Like, this is important to me. Or high ticket things. Yeah, if you're like gonna buy your first Maserati, you're gonna go buy like a car. That's a lot of money to buy in a house. Like, I don't think people want to deal with an AI realtor. But I think that in the consideration phase where they're evaluating and researching, I think they love AI to help them simplify the search and figure out what they want.
Yeah. I that's such an astute call. Like there absolutely is some function of I think intimacy is the word for it. It's like intimacy, cost, and I'm sure there's 10 other variables you could weight, to create this equation that says, hey, this should be an AI interaction versus not. I think what's intriguing to me is, that's kind of that forward facing AI. But I think a lot of this can be workflow automation as well. Like how can we make it exceptionally easy to get that human in the right place at the right time? Right, and kind of route them effectively, and I think that's super interesting to consider as well.
Yeah, well, it's the second bullet on the slide, right? Like your AI can only be as good as the data and the process that you build around it. And I would also say, and the infrastructure that it operates within. Think of it like this supercharged engine. And but if you put that supercharged engine on like a 76 Pinto frame, like it can only do so much before it's going to like fry a transmission.
Yeah, it's just going to like rip it to shreds internally. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I think you have to build the right scaffolding and framework around it, but also have solid data to make sure that the AI is making good choices. But the AI can, and these are some cool things that as a company that manages a lot of data that we're really evaluating of where can we snap it in, because AI can also, for example, in your sales funnel, AI can catch things like, hey, you haven't talked to this guy in 2 weeks. He was at this stage of your sales cycle. It came from this high converting lead source. You need to call him today, right? Where a sales guy, and you can have workflows that will automate some of those things. But if the salespeople are not paying attention to it, AI can be the thing that puts it right in front of their face, or even takes 100%. Action and says, you should have reached out to him already. Looks like you haven't made the call yet. I went ahead and crafted this text message. Is it okay for me to send it? Like that's
human in the loop.
Yeah, I agree. You still want humans in deeper phases of the sales cycle to be driving, because they'll know the nuances of that last Zoom call that maybe the AI doesn't have awareness of.
Yeah, no, it makes a ton of sense, and I think kind of bringing this all together in terms of the life cycle of a lead currently, right? I'm curious. You guys have been doing this for a while. You've seen kind of before AI to AI. Has this life cycle changed at all? And if so, what are the nuances there?
Yeah, for sure. So AI is being used we've already talked about the top of funnel. So you get more qualified people that are hitting your lead forms that are ready. They're ready, they're closer to buying than they used to be when they come to your site. So, but that means that when the AI starts to engage, so having humans in the loop as soon as possible is very helpful. But AI can facilitate that, and AI should facilitate that connection between a digital experience and then the humans having their first face-to-face or Zoom call. And then in nurturing, again, the AI can respond. We've got some great tools that are responding to communications from clients inside platform, and even answering calls. Like that's an important part in the nurturing flow of not only the outreach, because I think you and I both have tools that can do some of these things, right? We can do the outreach, but what happens when the consumer responds? And that's where AI can help, because humans are busy, especially I think frandev cycles. These guys, if they're doing their job right, they're in meetings every half an hour, for 8 hours a day. Well, where do they have time to start responding to all the text messages coming in from people that are reviewing item 19s? They don't, right?
Yeah.
But AI can.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I think that's perfectly it. And I think it kind of leads us into our question, like, what's worth the hype, right? And I think what I am curious by is, maybe specifically, like, what are the things you think, like, hey, you're dropping the ball if you're not leveraging some of these AI specific tools within your life cycle? Because I think it is a generational opportunity, right? Like, if you go from paperwork based, which a lot of home service brands are on a spreadsheet or a paper or whatever the heck it is, and skip kind of the technology of, let's call it Web 2.0 or whatever, and then get right into this, like, you can really change your position in a market pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the areas that are absolutely worth the hype are in the marketing side, and I expect you to have some great insights to share there, my friend, because that's top of funnel stuff. But then we've already talked quite a bit about the lead follow up, the lead nurturing, post service delivery follow up. I mean, you're busy, but what if you have an AI follow up text? Humans can't tell if an AI is texting them or humans texting them now. So we have to be. I think leveraging that channel a lot with AI is super powerful.
Yeah, and I think for me, the way I always try to diagnose like what's worth the hype from our perspective, as we build marketing technology, I always liken it back to, I'm a biomedical engineer by training, so I unfortunately or maybe fortunately always think like an engineer. And one of the things I always do with the process is it's like a spaghetti chart, right? Like literally, if you're on a production floor, draw a line as somebody walks around the floor, and you'll see how a process happens, right? And I think you can do that in every one of your workflows. Like, say you want to build a Facebook ad, and you want to build that Facebook ad for 100 locations. What would it look like if you actually tracked every click you took, every little piece of information you had to pull together, timed it, how long everything had to take? And I think that's where AI gets really, really compelling. It is fascinating in marketing. I would argue how much time is not spent doing what you want to do, right? Like, what you want to be doing is understanding the customer, understanding the data, thinking about high level strategy. What you end up doing is building the same thing but putting a different city on it 100 different times, simply putting it, right? Or figuring out how to access the Facebook login because somebody forgot their password in location 240. And so I think, to me, the things that are worth it, you should determine that yourself. Us vendors, we're going to do our best to convince you. We're going to show you case studies. We're going to do all of this. Have a before and after set. Don't just use an AI tool to use an AI tool. Dictate, like, what does success look like for you? Is it time spent? Is it revenue generated? Is it new leads in the door? And then measure it before and after. I'm always shocked by how little that gets done, where it's like, hey, let's quantify the success of this. And I think that shows you where the hype is worth it or versus not worth it.
Yeah, one thing I'd add to that too is the visibility and the data. Like, one thing that AI is way better than humans at is analyzing complex data sets and finding trends and spotting them faster, right? So there's some good algorithms that can do that are non-AI, right? But I find that to be really, really powerful. And there are a lot of great tools that can accelerate your insights. The speed to lead is great. Speed to insight when it comes to marketing, I think is just as valuable, because you have to be adjusting. Like, consumer behavior changing so fast. So I think that's something really powerful. AI can really add a lot of value to any franchise organization.
Yeah, and I think it's, you make a good call out there where there's a lot of tools that do it. Historically, a lot of those tools, you needed very, very structured data, right? You had to put together a data box or Power BI or something like that to be able to get to even the point where you can read the data. The beautiful thing about LLMs is they're exceptionally good at context, right? And they can find those similarities between data that may not be like, this row is a relational database to this row. But it's like, hey, we've noticed that the last 25 people you called and said these words to, these are the 5 themes that came out of it. They can generalize a lot better. And I think that's fascinating. That is, in my opinion, one of like the biggest where that's actually valuable.
Yeah, I totally agreed. And they can make sense of large data swaths that you used to have to spend 120 grand a year to take a look at. You used to have like you said, like a Domo or something like that, where it was crazy expensive. You can take that same data and you can pull it from direct source rather than integrate it. You do expensive integrations now, and the AI can pull the data together and make sense of it. It's crazy. This whole, like, the data lake concept that was so big. Now you don't have to do that, because AI can say, I'm going to grab this data and that data and this data, compare it all together for you. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, my favorite like first use case for that, if you're not as versed into this, is on Claude. They have these things called connectors, right? And it's basically like, hey, what data access am I going to give? Like for us, like Slack is an obvious one. We use like Slack for our internal team communications. Google Drive, you can build custom ones, but just seeing how powerful it is to have an agent like go query data over here, query data over here, and then bring it together in one brain. I mean, you can see how powerful it is just by doing that. That's always like my favorite first step for somebody who has just used like a straight LLM. Like attach it to some data and then see what it can do.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Um,
So Paul, I know there's a lot of stuff happening right now that that's affecting the way leads are converting. I guess maybe maybe we shift. Maybe share some of your feedback on this, because I think I've jawed about it quite a bit. But where are you seeing some of the trends about these nurturing cadences and visibility and things like that?
Yeah, I think one of the things I'll call out here, specifically on the digital advertising side, media generation is getting better. Like you're seeing, my favorite one is like Will Smith eating a bowl of spaghetti, right? There's like every year somebody rebuilds that with the latest video generation model, and it's gotten better, better, and better. But what we've seen is that brands and consumers are exceptionally more concerned if media is AI or not AI. And so with that, something we've seen is that the best ads that we're seeing are just organic. Like go take a video in front of your store, like take a video with your team. People want it to be as real as possible. Like I kind of like call it like social media is going back to what it started out as. Like, social media was really fun and cool in the beginning, right? It was like, cool, my 20 guys I went to college with, like my family, the 100 friends I have from high school. And then it turned into like a very different thing. It became capitalized. It was about converting you into something. I think it's going back the other direction now, and those leads come in a lot more strong because the younger generations want trust. They want to see a real person on the other side. And I think that's directly linked to what you're talking about with speed to lead stuff, right? Where it's like they're very okay handling, let's call it the mundane, the information collecting. But when they transact, they want to transact human to human, and they want it to feel human to human. And we are absolutely seeing that on the ad side as well. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, well, I love that. It's funny because like the pendulum swung so fast and so hard. There's whiplash.
Yeah.
I've got 4 adult kids now that live at home with us, and the conversations we have about AI, like a couple of my kids are just like completely averse to, like, I hate AI.
Really?
We actually have a game with my son Jonathan where we try to like trick him. Like we'll play a song. I'm like, what do you guys think about this song? He's like, actually, I kind of like it. Like, it was AI. Gotcha. But there's this aversion to AI created stuff, which I agree with. There's still a place for all of that, right? There's still a place, but I think trying to keep things as genuine and authentic as possible, and yet AI can execute on that, right? You author it, or
100%.
you can use AI to author some things, but like there are visual cues and language cues that you have to be able to strip out. Like if you're writing long form content, the line breaks that OpenAI likes to throw on everything, and like the specific phrases and making everything choppy and short, like you can see it and spot it. So I think part of it, this is we're building like nurture cadences and things like that. Use it to draft, but always have a human rewrite, like edit things so that when you're creating content, it feels more genuine and authentic. Try to personalize as much as you can without getting creepy. If you're on LinkedIn, you know what I'm talking about. You get 30 of those a day now, which are like, hi, Dave, I noticed that you run ClientTether - the franchise CRM. Like, don't over tokenize. Don't over tokenize. Make it real, And that kind of stuff cracks me up. But nurture cadences, like you have to have these in place because even though people show up more prepared to buy, they're still not going to transact all the time. But remember, these people spent the research time and effort and used AI, and they were directed to you. They just might not have the budget today. They might be afraid to buy. They might not be ready to open up a franchise yet, or grandma's got to get into the care center first before they have the time. Like nurturing sequences make a big difference.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. And I think as we kind of translate to the end of our deck here, to the end of our conversation, I think this is really true. I think the buyer is more intelligent now. They're way more aware of what is fake, what is real, and they're ultra sensitive to it now, right? And I think understanding the nuances for your particular buyer and your particular market are where these deals are going to be won and lost, right? Like somebody, if you hit them with an AI response at the wrong time, they may go away. If you hit them with a human response at the right time, they may convert. And I think as the tools and workflows get better, that's going to be the real key. Like you have to understand where to meet your consumer with kind of what ends, in my opinion.
I agree. And remember that humans crave meaningful interaction. They really do. And so using AI to accelerate the filtering process at the top of the funnel to get more people talking to more people, that's really, I think, the superpower of AI right now, if it's used properly. Because you don't want a robot showing up to your house to evaluate the soffit and climb a ladder and then give you a written estimate. And then, I mean, it would just be impersonal and uncanny valley, right? People at least for now, people really expect a genuine human interaction, especially when we talk like consumer, but also talking about frandev. Okay, I'm going to put my house on the line or my retirement on the line to go invest in this massive opportunity. Like, boy, there are parts in that flow you can use AI, like answering questions about an FTD, 100%. But through text message maybe or a chat widget, but trying to help them overcome their fear. Good luck getting a bot to do that. Like that's really
I'm going to start calling it the Dave Index. I love your point earlier on like the intimacy of the decision, kind of the value of the decision. Like I think that is such an important nuance here, right? And I think that's something you now have to consider through every stage of your journey. To your point, if somebody is just mid-funnel and they're like texting you saying, hey, I read this in item 22, what does that mean? Like, yeah, they don't really care. They just want the understanding of it, right? But if they're sitting there and they're saying, man, I'm going to have to liquidate some of my 401k for this, like blah, blah, blah. Like that's a very different conversation.
Yeah, we're getting into emotional needs, and AI is not good at that. It's not good at it's not good at empathy yet. It's not good at it can pretend like it's good at empathy, but it can't really understand. And
and that's honestly, I think, the worst. Like if you give somebody that false empathy, man, is that not just turn somebody off from that decision really immediately?
How often have you been on a call if you've been talking to a friend on the phone and you can tell they're distracted?
Yeah, it's like, okay, dude, I'll just call you back, man.
It's the same thing, except the AI is always emotionally distracted, right?
I like that. I might take that as well. That is going to be the Dave Index in my head from now on, though, just so you know. That's you've created a new variable going on there.
Have you ever seen the show Young Sheldon?
I've seen a few episodes of it, yes.
Or even like Big Bang, right? Like Sheldon, he's brilliant, right? Super smart, but has like the emotional intelligence of like a turtle, right? So that's AI, but it turns people off. It ticks them off sometimes. So just again, intimacy. I wonder for you, like AI and marketing. You talked a little bit. Do you mind maybe you riff on that for a minute, Paul? Like on the creative side, I know a lot of people love using it. There's some cool tools that automate that whole like ad creation, ad deployment process. But where is there a pitfall with that? Is the Dave Index, is it applicable and depending upon the service, like an oil change? Does anybody care if that AI created? Or putting grandma in a home, which is a much more like, do you see the same thing on like the creative side of things?
100%. And genuinely, I think it is the Dave Index, right? Like, I think we were just talking to childhood education. There was like enrichment classes for children, right? And putting somebody into a child in a fake AI image, oh my gosh, there is nothing that'll turn a mother away from putting their child into that situation than that. And I think it really is. It's exactly that. But like, is anybody going to question if AI has taken a real image and replaced the store name or city on it for you? Absolutely not. Like if it's a Dunkin' Donuts and there's a, Tallahassee, Florida, or whatever the heck it is, and it instead says Monterey, California or something, nobody's going to question that, right? And that's where like I really, really like to liken it to. I love this, the Dave Index, but there's kind of two things in my mind. There's like the deliverable, and then there's the work that got you to the deliverable, right? Yeah. And I think the thing you need to consider now, which I did not have a word for, is the Dave Index of each step in there, where it's like, if it's a really high index, then all you need to actually do is figure out the workflows around that to improve the speed to it, right? Yeah. And so that's where I think that when it comes to text, oh my, man, I mean, the models, and especially as you can kind of train these models against your brand or all of your previous interactions, I would argue text is like way getting there. Like the text that's detectable are the people who are generally chatting to a ChatGPT bot and then they copy and paste it into LinkedIn or whatever it is. Like that's really noticeable. Mm-hmm. Like those people are not training it against hundreds of thousands of interactions that brand or person has had and doing that, So I think you're going to get to a place where you can probably get away from a fear that the text is going to be noticed as AI. Like, I think we're getting super close, if not there already. The media as well. OpenAI's latest image model is awesome. Like, it is genuinely awesome. And so I think, though, that's where it's like, okay, cool. But if everybody can do that, how can you have an advantage? And so our response to that is like, I would rather you go take a crappy iPhone picture of your store and your team and put that into the ad, because it'll convert more, because it's just real. There's a substance to it that you can't create, because the AI is going to make it as probabilistically as perfect as possible. And so I think there's something to that. So on marketing teams for us, the future I see is, how can you just reduce the crap you don't want to do? And that's where I always liken it back to, like, meet your customer where it is, and then make your job easier. I'm a lazy guy. I want my job to be easy and still be effective. And I want to think on the cool stuff I want to think about, like, what's the next activation I can do? How can we service our customer better? So that's kind of where I see franchise marketing going. It's just, especially in franchising, when you've got hundreds of units or thousands of units, the repetitive tasks that humans have to do now that they don't actually have to do. I mean, it just kills you.
Oh, I agree. And I want to resonate on a point you made, which is about the authenticity of the content when it comes to the humans. I think video is still a huge channel, right? And AI videos are so obvious. Like, they kind of gross me out. Like, I don't like them. But remember, like, the blocking and tackling fundamentals of marketing. Like, people, your avatar wants to hear a message from their peer. And so the more that you can stay focused on that channel and facilitate, better reviews online using AI requests, better content generated by actual, UGC, I think it's going to become more and more relevant, because like the younger generation, especially, they're repulsed by AI stuff. They're actually nostalgic. I see kids now wearing like they're buying MP3 players with wired headphones, for crying out loud, right? So, like, I think people are kind of craving, like, authenticity and genuineness of previous generations. So remember that in your marketing. And I think
don't lose the fundamentals, and use these tools to make your job better. Like, that's kind of the way I see it all.
Yeah, I agree. And you cut through the clutter now. The clutter of AI. Start throwing real humans out there telling real stories. You're cutting through the clutter, and that's just like going back to basics in my mind.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think we covered a lot of great topics here, Dave, and I really appreciate you coming in. Again, it's Dave Index in my head forever and always. You're never going to make me able to change that. I hope everybody else takes that with them as well. If we have any questions, I didn't see any come in on the chat. I've got it pulled up over here. But Dave, where can anybody follow you or find you online if, as they're mulling over this over dinner tonight and they've got a question that might come to their mind?
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn's an easy way to reach out. You guys, I don't actually love social media, but I'm on there quite a bit because the industry's on there, and I like to be a resource there. And just reach out, Dave at ClientTether.com. I'm happy to be a resource to anybody. And how about you, Paul? Let's say somebody's like, man, that Paul's a wizard. I want to, he's like Nicholas Flamel.
We are named after a wizard, so I mean, it's got to be a thing. No, I appreciate the pass, Paul at Flamel.ai. Also, I'm a LinkedIn guy. Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn a lot. I find it a fun platform. So find me on there, Paul Ehlinger. And then Paul at Flamel.ai. Happy to help with anything. We wrote a book on AI as well, so we think about it a lot. So if you just want general knowledge on that, if you just DM me, I'll probably just send you a book for free. You don't have to buy it. So check it out. But everybody who has attended or watches this later, we really do appreciate you taking the time out of the day today. I think we are at an exciting time in technology, and there's a lot of changes that have happened, and I think that will continue to happen. And so, I mean, it's awesome to have stewards like you, Dave, in the industry, kind of, just being a force for good as the industry does translate through all these changes.
Well, and likewise, thanks for putting this together, Paul. And we'll have to switch that up. Maybe we can call it the Paul Index, because I don't know, it makes me a little cringy calling it the Dave Index. But
it's so locked in right now. I'm building a post about it, Dave.
You suck. Anyway, but thanks for putting this together, my friend. And the guys, I do. There are a few people in the industry I really trust a lot, and like I want their feedback. I want to know what they're seeing, and Paul's one of those guys. So make sure you check out what they're doing at Flamel, because it's incredible stuff. And reach out to Paul personally if you do have a question. He's one of those guys that will take the time. I know he will.
I really do appreciate that. Well, thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you on the next one of these. Talk to you soon.
Thanks. Bye, guys.